Hi, and welcome back to my ME/CFS diary, where I'm sharing personal stories for ME/CFS Awareness Month. In the last episode, I shared how a structured treatment plan helped me get out of my sickest phase and gave me my life back. Go back and watch that video if you haven't already. But what I haven't talked about yet is how that experience shaped the direction of my career. This is the story of how I went from patient to practitioner. At the time, I was working as a chiropractor, primarily with patients dealing with chronic pain. But I kept running into the same realization. Manual therapy alone wasn't enough. Many of my patients were stuck in a cycle of pain, inflammation, and fatigue. And I knew from experience that addressing only the muscles and joints wasn't going to change the underlying picture. That's when I started thinking more seriously about nutrition, not just as general wellness advice, but as a key factor in chronic illness. I could see it in my own body too. The foods I ate clearly impacted my energy, my pain levels, and my overall function. But this wasn't obvious to me from the beginning of my illness. I had tried various diets, gluten-free, paleo, sugar-free, and at the time back then, I didn't notice much improvement in my condition. Looking back, I realized that the timing was wrong. My body was still dealing with bigger issues: gut imbalance, immune dysfunction. Diet alone wasn't enough to move the needle until those deeper layers had started to heal. During my treatment and my recovery, my gut health improved. And in that, I became more aware of how certain foods influenced my symptoms. It was sometimes subtle, but there was definitely something there. Most of all, I noticed that meals high in carbohydrate often left me feeling more fatigued, something that, again, I hadn't noticed before. Remember, this was long before we had mitochondrial research related to ME/CFS that would show that we have problems in carbohydrate metabolism. Sugar was also especially problematic. I began to recognize a clear connection between sugar intake and candida flare-ups, which made my symptoms worse overall. More digestive discomfort, migraines, brain fog, more fatigue. These patterns made it clear to me that diet played a bigger role in chronic illness than I had previously considered. It was also something that my earlier treatment didn't really take into account, but it was quickly becoming a piece I just couldn't ignore. That's what led me to pursue a master's degree in nutrition. I often say nutrition is biochemistry. And for me, understanding the pathways, the systems, the signaling gave me a completely different lens for approaching chronic illness. I also explored functional medicine at the time, particularly testing, and started learning about the microbiome. This was back in 2011. All of these tools gave me insight into how ME/CFS and similar conditions could be supported in a more personalized way. I remember the moment it all clicked for me. I was flying home from a conference in Portland, notebook full of ideas, and I thought, I'm ready to start something of my own. A practice built for people like me, for people with ME/CFS and fibromyalgia, people who often fall through the cracks of conventional care. At the time, I was also networking with a lot of other practitioners. Many of them thought treating these conditions was next to impossible. And then, of course, there's only a mere handful of specialists in the country. There was clearly a dire need for practitioners of all types to prioritize these conditions and patients like us. It was a unique and desperately needed niche. And I knew I wanted nutrition to be at the center of it. And I knew I wanted to refine the kind of care that I had received. Sure, my treatment protocol helped me, but I also saw its limitations. It didn't help everyone, and it could be modernized with new information. It was broad, it wasn't personalized. It used a lot of supplements, and over time I started asking, what if less is more? And that's exactly what I created. An approach that's not one size fits all, but tailored, because no two ME/CF patients are the same. The key is figuring out what's driving the symptoms and building a strategy around that. And it's not always a straight line. There's trial and error. But that's also what drew me to medicine in the first place. I love the detective work. And this is the kind of care I wish I had sooner. And now it's what I offer to others. This work isn't just something I do, it's my life's work. It's personal. And all those practitioners I used to rub elbows with who told me, those are the hardest patients, ME/CFS, fibromyalgia, no one really wants to work with them. Well, I do, because I've lived it. And I know how much it means to finally have someone in your corner who understands the complexity and doesn't give up. I also know this isn't the most profitable niche to work in. If I wanted to get rich, I'd be in a different industry, like fitness. But I stay here because this group of patients deserves better. They deserve expertise, compassion, and real support. So I'm here as an educator, as a patient, and as a practitioner, sharing what I've learned over the years and what I continue to learn every day. And if that resonates with you, feel free to explore my website or check out my online courses linked below. And if you'd like to keep following along, please like and subscribe to the page. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your story too. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.